You gonna run now? Should I have your mic?
Say goodbye.
Say goodbye.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Thanks. We'll talk.
Okay, these sheets up here are the same sheets that you have in a larger version, and probably one you can actually read if you were this close to them. Oops, excuse me. So we're going to do a couple things. I would like to gather all your sheets when you leave so that I can have them for the file and can use them as I develop this. And if you want to put your name on there so I know who it's from, that's fine. If you want to be anonymous, that's fine too. But sometimes if I have a question about something, it'd be nice to know who I could call to say, why did you think that it was this and everybody else thought it was this, that kind of thing. So what we're going to do is two things, and we're going to kind of do, well, probably more than that. We're going to go through these charts fairly quickly, and I'm going to basically do show of hands kind of things in terms of what people's numbers are. And we're also at this time going to ask for any additional projects. You have the handout that we did in September, and if there's anything that hasn't made the list that you know of that will need to be added as a project, we're going to put them up on these two boards here. And hopefully by the time we're done, we have a pretty good idea of what's going to happen in the next 5 years. Not that we'll hold you to it and say, well, you said in 2011 you were going to do this, and you didn't. So Patty got us started, of course, already with a few projects already. She's got a seriously emotionally disturbed youth group home and a community-based emergency detention center for secure crisis, which would be a longer-term project. So we just put those on there, and I just tell you that now so I won't forget it. So we're going to just start right from the top. Anybody have anything under acquisition? Okay, how many of them thought it was a high priority? The very first one. Rental units.
Does this mean city buying rental units?
Pardon me?
I didn't know what it meant. Does that mean the city is going to buy rental?
No, it means that we use money we'll use CDBG or home to acquire units. And it could be that we give it to MHA to acquire the units or to North Missoula CDC to acquire the units. It's not that the city itself will necessarily buy them. So maybe Nancy and Jean, if you could help me count the highs and the lows. So highs up. This is acquisition of rental. How many? Medium? Low? None. How about owner units? High? I'm not even looking. Nobody said high. Medium? Low? Okay. What did you guys come up with needs for housing and home ownership? What numbers? Did anybody come up with some numbers? Okay.
I had 1,500 rentals. That's over a 5-year period, right?
Yes? And Brendan, did you have a homeownership guess?
I actually had 1,000.
Okay. Was there another? Who?
Where does Sea Lake set into this at?
That's a good question. This is focused kind of on the city plan, but I think we should, if you have numbers, go ahead and give them to me because we'll work them into our bigger plan.
Okay, I would go high I'm thinking like 75 people or 75 families for rentals. And of course, need is now, and cost would be probably about 17 million. About 75 home families. And same thing is now, and I'm not sure on that.
We have people that currently don't live anywhere near the area because they can't afford to live here. They're already here, they just aren't within the city boundaries.
So the acquisition of it would assume that they were already here, as opposed to building something new.
I understand.
Okay.
Not servicing those needs. People that already live in the area, they live away from Missoula.
Right. Right. Right.
In terms of the numbers involved in these, you have, acquisition of existing both rental and housing, and you also have construction of housing, new housing, for both rental and home ownership, and however the numbers are met that are needed is fine as far as I'm concerned. And what those numbers are for the city, I think you really need to go to the mayor's housing task force numbers, which you're probably familiar with, because you probably worked them up. But and we do have an idea what they are. I don't have it at the tip of my tongue, but.
We do have a section down on number 12 that is the construction of new housing. Were you looking at this as mainly acquiring existing or constructing new, or just a general need?
I think I was looking at what was out there.
Okay, alrighty. Okay, anybody have any other numbers for the need to acquire existing units? No? Okay. Disposition, for those of you who guessed what that was, disposition basically means that if we have any properties that are already owned or funded by CDBG home or owned by the city, that we would get rid of them and dispose of them in some way, and so it would just be whatever costs were associated with that. Did anybody rank that as high or medium or low? High? Medium? Low? No care. Okay, public facilities improvements. I'm not going to go down through each one of these because it'll take us forever. So what I'm going to do is just start tossing out to me what your high priorities are at this time, and we'll mark down the high ones.
So one of mine in our groups was the homeless facilities. Is very high. Can we make it VH? I'm joking. Just high. We estimated the need for 150 individuals to be served and up to 10 families. And then 10 family units. And then when is now, and how much is still up to speculation.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it fits under youth center or the abused and neglected children facility, but we wanted a new facility to replace the Tom Roy Youth Guidance Home. Yes. And it serves 8. Mm-hmm. Oh, more. 8. Well, 8 at a time, but over the course of the year, serve more than that. soon. And $1 million.
Since we're on that topic, high for Watson Children's Shelter to build a second facility. Abused, neglected, yep, but it would be now. Estimated 70 children annually.
Anybody else? Anything else under public facilities that you've got as a high?
In Sea Lake, we don't have a handicap center, and we don't have a youth center. Youth center would be, I would say, high, 150 kids. Now, there is plans of a building about 300,000. The handicap, got about 15 people. And then, of course, the solid waste disposal, very high, 600 homes. We don't have a sewer. Water sewer improvements, or either, well, whatever we want to put it under. Solid waste disposal, we don't have either one. So high, 600 homes needed now, and the plans are 18 million. And we have 2.2 now. A long ways from it.
Okay, anybody else have anything under public facilities?
Sidewalks and tree planting as high priorities also.
Okay, sidewalks and trees. Some trees. Where's the trees? There's the trees.
And Nancy, the why also consider this high by WCA.
Thank you. Okay, do people feel pretty comfortable with what we have identified as highs?
I guess I would like to say that I love trees and sidewalks too, but I'd put them as a low priority compared to getting people housed, would be my.
Okay. How do other people feel about trees and sidewalks? High or medium? How many want it to be high? For trees? Sidewalks. How many high? How many medium? How many is that? 3? Medium? Low? Eight? I guess they're not going to, Bob. Okay, how about trees? High? Bob didn't even raise his hand on the high. Okay. Medium? Low? Six? Okay. That better? Everything else look okay? How about the numbers look close? Okay, let's move on to, where? Oh. Question? Oh, you did. Street improvement between Russell and 3rd. This should be a project, you guys. Is that what priority is that? How many highs? Okay, raise your hand for high for street improvements. Street improvement in general, not any particular section right now. Highs? Medium? Low? Okay. So it looks like it's a kind of a wash. But you guys, you got the names of the streets, right? 3rd Street in Russell and Broadway Reserve.
I live on 3rd Street and I used to work on 3rd Street, and I'd always heard that that was already in the plans to have 3rd Street expanded, and so that would redo the street. So where does that fall under, whose plans might those be, and then where does that fall under this?
Where's Mike when I need him? Mike should answer this question. No, we don't have enough time. It's the CDBG and home funding is probably not going to be spent for anything on street improvements itself. The only thing that might happen, for example, is that there could be, if there are SIDs assessed to property owners, there's a possibility that we could use that funding, for example, for low and moderate income people to help offset their SID costs or whatever other costs.
Yeah, 3rd Street's a high priority for City Council this year, or well, not this year. It's one of the highest priorities of streets of what we can deal with. But the sidewalks will be assessed to the property owners. So, to turn 3rd Street into a complete street from Russell to Reserve, but the sidewalk itself would be assessed to the property owner.
Okay. Anything else on public facilities? Clearance and demolition. Does anybody have anything for clearance and demolition? Zeros. I hear zeros. So is that a nothing much kind of a thing? Pardon me? Pardon me? You had it rated high. Okay. Why don't you tell us why it's rated high?
Well, if you can clean up contaminated sites, they become available for development.
We had zeros because brownfields sorts of funding would cover that instead of.
No. Brownfields would be included in cleanup and demolition. Yeah.
Why WCA instead of youth homes?
Oh, I'm sorry. Youth homes. Okay. And why? This is why I do this on computer. Okay. All right. Okay. So we have one high for, how many people are high for brownfields except Bob is raising his hand?
I have high.
Okay. So for high for the cleanup and clearance and demolition, which would be essentially brownfield types activities, raise your hand for high. Medium? Low? Okay. Two lows. Okay. Anybody have any specifics for need or when or anything like that in terms of brownfields? No? Okay, we'll move on to public services. Okay, who has, to me, some highs? How many have highs for seniors? Medium? Medium? Low? How many units or how many people or how many households to be assisted?
I said 100.
Is that per year or for 5 years? Whatever. Per year. Okay. Any amount of money? Okay. Anybody have, how does anybody feel about those numbers right there for seniors?
15 for Sealy.
15 more? 15 more for Sealy. Okay. Those numbers look close? Any other highs for public services? If nobody raises their hand, then that means there'll be no CDBG for any of you guys raising your hand. No CDBG for you.
I just had a high for youth services that could encumber even, what was mentioned earlier with the Tom Roy or the thing that Patty put on there with the severely emotionally disabled.
Youth services, highs. Raise your hand for highs. Medium. Oh, somebody tell me how many highs there were. Medium. Low. Okay, what do you think in terms of need, in terms of numbers or numbers of units? Does anybody have a clue on that? 150 units? Kids for Sealy. Okay. How about Missoula City? No numbers. Okay. I may be calling some of you to say, okay. Who else had a high?
Substance abuse services, employment training, and tenant landlord counseling.
No. Employment, tenant landlord counseling, and geez, what's that? Abused and neglected children, or am I missing it? Oh, up here. All right. Okay. Substance abuse, high. Long as medium? Low? Employment training? High? Medium? Low? Okay. Tenant landlord counseling? High? Medium? Low? Okay. Do we have numbers for these? Number of units? Number of people to be served? Number of... Do you have any of that? Okay. So it's 350 a day? Okay.
And we also wanted to have a high on handicap services because we're not handicap accessible.
Okay. Which is, again, 350 a day?
Well, that would be the shelter, so that would be about 110.
Somebody else had their hand up over here.
Landlord tenant counseling, I would say $350 a year at minimum. I don't know.
Okay.
We also had a high on legal services. What's on it is very limited. The population is and what's available at the courthouse is very limited hours. I think we have standard hours and it's still one-time work.
Okay, so legal services, particularly for special populations, because they have long waiting lines as it is. Do you have any?
I wanted to speak, just like she's not here, for Teresa Connolly and Judge Desmond, because I really feel like with the legal services, that goes into also mental health court, and that's such an important, at the paw, that's such an important thing for us.
Okay. So how many high for legal services? Lots? Okay. How, mediums and lows? Medium? Low? Low? Okay. Do you have any idea about numbers in terms of how many?
She does,
Okay. That's what we'll do is we'll put Teresa's name up here. Okay. Is 25 for Sealy. Okay. Plus Y. We'll get those numbers from them too. Okay. Anything else for public services?
I had a high for childcare services for all the same reasons. Employment. It facilitates all those other things. Only guessing 350 per year for numbers. And now, soon and eventually, just kind of always.
Okay. How many for high for childcare services? Oh, we have a comment first.
We've seen childcare providers that are struggling to get children in, and they've actually had to close their businesses that they've had for years. So I think the need has been a lot less than it has been in the past. So I don't think it quite would be a high.
All right. So how many highs for childcare? Oh, I'm sorry.
Sea Lake has a need for the child services. They probably got about 15 kids that they're needing services for, 15 to 30.
So how many for high for childcare? Oops, wait, we got another question.
I don't really know anything about the subject other than my own childcare, but I was thinking that there are probably a lot of people that could use it just can't afford it. So maybe subsidizing childcare might be a good thing.
Yeah, and basically what this category would mean would be that's what it would be. That would be providing funding to provide childcare.
Although I'm in the business of providing houses and homes, my sister works for child care services, and one of the things that they're finding is happening a lot is people are either losing their jobs, and then of course they can't get child care services subsidized through the state because they're not employed, but then they also can't go out looking for jobs because they don't have any child care services, and it's really hard to take your child to a job interview. And then people who are actually getting along a little better pretty quickly get out of being eligible for child care services through the state. But yet they really still can't afford to pay for that child care on their own. So that was kind of what I was thinking of.
Anything else on child care? You want to do a show of hands for highs? And mediums? And lows? 4 lows. Okay. Anything else? Any other public services? 5 lows. All right, I'll come back and get the 5 after we get the conversation going.
Battered and abused spouses.
Anybody else here can give us a guesstimate on numbers? No. Okay, battered and abused spouses for high. Raise your hands. How many? Thank you. Medium? 8. Light in there. Medium? Oh, sorry. Where am I at? Right here, thank you. High was 8. Medium was 1. Low was 5. This was high, remember? Okay. Anything else to say about that one? Anything else on the list? The list. Transportation. In the middle. Oh, there we are. Anybody have anything to add about transportation? Did you want to say anything about transportation? Okay.
I think specifically looking at extending or expanding bus routes and times that run so that our clients that we serve that work swing shifts or overnights have adequate alternative transportation.
Thank you. We got that. How many highs for transportation services? Medium? Low? No lows. Anything else? The list is narrowing.
I had a high for health services, and in particular in the Native American community, I would say at least 500 per year. And that would be in addition to what the Indian Center is now doing with their Indian Health Services grant.
500 of them? Health services, highs, or do we have a conversation about it first? Do you have it? Bob does.
It's such a broad category. And I know that mental health services are drastically lacking too. So that's certainly just by itself is a high.
Any other comments on that?
Say high for mental health services too.
Okay.
No. So that's a few things. That's again, mental health court. That's the pause expansion is our ability not only to serve folks under influence, but the co-occurring.
Okay.
With all our mentally ill folks down at the POB. And then that
So
also,
number is what?
that's
Problem?
going to be the, well, we don't, I mean,
This, yeah,
not
the
a-
350.
350 a day, we don't know how many. But that's also includes Western Montana Mental Health and their PAP program.
Okay.
So I think all of those.
Okay. So we have health services and we have, where did health services? We have mental health services and health services. How many highs for health services? Mediums? Lows? And for mental health services, high? Ooh. Medium? Low? Okay, anything else? Yes, I know. Okay, yeah.
We had high for both rental housing subsidies and deposit assistance.
These two over here, rental housing subsidies and security deposits, right? Oh yeah, those guys. How many highs for rental housing subsidies? This would be like direct payments to help people afford their rent. Okay. Medium? Low? Security deposits? Highs? Medium? Low? Okay. Anybody have any sense of needs or amount of money or soons?
Of course, I'm in total agreement that rental subsidies and security deposit assistance is absolutely essential, but I don't think CDBG and home is the way to do that. I think that there are other sources for security deposits. These are such, you know, we already have, I don't know how much subsidy for rentals do you have, Jim? $1 million a year? We've got $4 million a year. We've got $5 million in rental subsidies now in the city. We can always use more, but I think we need to press for Section 8 legislation, Section 8 allocations, rather than using our scarce CDBG and home funds. And the security deposit assistance, I think we can get private money or city money for that through another avenue. I think we could fund those other ways without using these scarce resources. I think most people, I think Word for sure knows that we did a Essential Access Program grant for CDBG funds. It was $15,000 for a revolving loan fund for security and utility deposits. That's about 6 or 7 years old now. We still have somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000 of that left, and we're now supplementing it with donations from other either private companies or foundations, and our FSS coordinators are applying for grants. So yeah, the need is really high. I just don't think these are the right sources of funding for it.
We're the same?
I would respectfully disagree. I've worked on Emergency Winter Shelter Fund Committee for, I think, 6 years now, and we get, I'm not on it this year, but I know that 2 weeks ago they had a need to shell out $4,500 in 1 week and $2,500 the week prior. And this is for assistance to help a family to prevent an eviction, and they use, the minimum amount of money. It might be $50 or $100 or $200, but it's not folks who are receiving rental subsidies necessarily that have, some do have affordable housing, many don't, and it's much easier to spend $200 and keep a family housed than it is to find money to rehouse them, to pay deposit and rent. So if you can, leverage a little bit of money to prevent an eviction, I think it goes a long ways, and that money isn't available any other way. So I think there is a need still for money to be spent this way.
This is tenant-based rental assistance that we're basically talking about, which the city hasn't used so far for either home or CDBG. Anybody have any more comments about subsidies for rentals or security deposits?
In City Lake, we probably have about 30 to 50 people in that area, and ranging from 300 to 600 for the amount. I'd say between 30 and 50.
Any other comments on TBRA or security deposits or any of that? Do we have numbers for how many would need TBRA? Or how much it would cost? Okay. Oh, Jim's got his arm up.
Well, just at assuming that each household, that 100 households would need 3,000 annually, you're at 300,000. And many of the TBRA programs are 18 months to 24 months, so you'd probably need at least 600,000 to start one.
600,000? A year, right? Oh, 2 years. Oh, for each one. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Anybody have anything else to add under public services? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Anything in here? Interim assistance, relocation, removal of architectural barriers. Anybody have any pressing issues there?
I just have a question on what relocation is.
Relocation is where let's see if I can do this one. Relocation is close your ears, Cindy and Mike. See how much I flub this. Relocation is basically what Mike was talking about earlier, which is when we assist a property, for example, that is currently occupied and the people have to move somewhere else while we're acquiring it or renovating it or rehabbing it or destroying it to replace it with something else. We have to pay for their relocation costs. The cost to set them up in some other place for however long it's going to take, moving expenses, those kinds of things. That's what relocation assistance is. Close? something we try to avoid doing because it's very, very expensive. So we try to make sure that we try not to have to disturb people. Okay. So nothing in particular in here then for those three things that I kind of lumped together in the interest of time. Construction, I'm sorry. What? Yeah, I'm not even sure what that is. Okay. Construction of housing. Does anybody want to construct some housing?
Mountain Home wants to construct some apartments, so I don't know if that was supposed to go over public facilities or not, but I'm saying it now. Mountain Home, we're going to construct 6 new rental apartments for, okay. 6. So, that's a now. $1 million.
I added as a high, carrying over from the conversation on the other side where we were talking about acquisition, but needing at least a minimum of 100 units to serve low to moderate income folks at a subsidy of $35,000 a year would be $3.5 million annually over the next 15 years. $3.5 million annually over the next 15 years, given the projection that I think you folks have from your study about how many rentals we're going to need. Just at 100 a year. And then under that same category, well, I'll wait because the next one is new owner unit.
So we're going to build 100 a year plus 6. This is why this stuff actually ends up in the plan this way.
I'm just going to throw this out for consideration, and that is that we could actually replace 84, 94, 104, 30, somewhere around 35 units of public housing and get operating subsidy for them because we could add them back into our allocation. And that's, public housing is some of the best housing for disabled and elderly, so those on fixed incomes. So, you know, soon to eventually, we might want to think about that.
So how many people can stay here for another 10 minutes? You hang in there with me? Oh, I love you. Okay, so Gene's adding public. How about new homeowner units?
Again, I had that as a carryover from the other page in terms of existing, but new at least 50 units per year, new construction. And at the assistance at $35,000 each, that's $1.75 million, and we'd do that annually over the next 15 years.
Anything else for new homeowner units projects that you're thinking of? Okay, let's do a quick show of hands. How many for production, construction of new rental? 9, 10. And medium for new rental? Low. And for new home ownership? 50% of what's left. Okay, we'll figure that one out later. I'll say, what does that one mean? That's what it is. Okay, direct home ownership assistance. Yes, Jerry is raising his hand.
Being the owner of land underneath new rental and homeownership units.
Okay. Yes, you got that? She's working on it. She jumped into direct homeownership assistance. This is where we actually give people direct money to buy houses that may already exist, that probably already exist on the market, like down payment assistance. Anybody want to do that?
I had 100 units. Again, our experience has been that we've been allowing up to $35,000 per household in down payment assistance. If we did 100 of those a year, it would cost us $3.5 million annually.
Anybody else in the down payment business? No, not Jerry. Oh.
I was just supporting you.
Oh, you're doing a thumbs up, okay. All right, how many highs? Mediums? Lows? Of what's left? Okay. Rehab. Anybody have anything pressing for rehab in terms of projects? Here's a new Patty.
Well, I sat next to her and it rubbed off. If we were, in our current program, we loan up to $25,000 to assist people with their rehab needs. These are individual households. So if we did 50 a year at $25,000, that would be $1.25 million annually. And I guess something I would like to put up on the board there would be rehab of mobile homes on rented lots.
I think we should be thinking about rehabbing some of the apartments downtown to preserve them for low and moderate income people. There's a lot of matching money for preservation now too, so might be. Oh, okay, that's the next one. Sorry, I jumped the gun.
Well, actually, I'm going through with all of rehab in one big fell swoop here, so that would be under multifamily residential. How many people would rate single unit rehab high? Yeah, we're going to do that in a second. Single high. No. Well, if it's single, it's, yeah. If it's mobile homes, it'll be single. Well, these are going down, okay. Medium and low? Medium? 1. Low? Okay, multi-unit rehab? 6? 7? Medium? Low? Okay. How about any of these other rehabs? Have any more issues for there? Right. Okay. All right. Okay. Little old code enforcement down there. Anybody have anything for code enforcement? Oh, you got one more. Okay.
We do a lot of energy conservation at Human Resource Council, and so I had energy efficient improvements as a high. And our experience is, to go in and look at the furnace tune-up and replacement, we're probably looking at a couple of $1,000s. So if we did 350 units at $2,000 each, that'd be $700,000 annually.
Agreement? Disagreement? All in favor, raise your hand. Those are the highs. Mediums? Lows? Okay, anything else in rehab? Code enforcement? Nothing. Last page, historic preservation. Oh, if Philip were here, we'd be in big trouble. Nobody identified it as particularly pressing. Okay, commercial industrial. Land acquisition or infrastructure development? Nothing particular. Economic development. Oh, I hear the crickets. Nobody has anything for economic development. Administration planning. All the staff had better be raising our hands because this is the part that pays us. Cindy, did you have to say something about that?
One of the things that has come up, and I think a lot of organizations have mentioned, is that it would be really great to see a comprehensive integrated prevention plan for children, youth, and families in our community. And that plan could encompass homelessness prevention, teen pregnancy prevention, substance abuse prevention, intimate partner violence prevention, on and on and on. We're all connected through the risk and protective factors. When there's holes in the safety net, it affects all of us. And so just knowing what each other was doing could be a very valuable thing. I don't know if it falls exactly under there. And last time it was listed under other on the pretty colorful handout. And just to refine that a little bit and make sure that it's noted somewhere, I see a really clear link with Objective 10, with building capacity for all of us to have a comprehensive plan that we know what one another are doing in those areas and are leveraging off of each other's services and maximizing the shrinking service dollars by working together in a collaborative fashion.
Wherever you see it.
Okay. All right, anything else under planning and administration? You're all for it? Everybody who's left is for it. You might note the last little two remnants right here, home rental subsidy payments and home security deposits. That's the thing we talked about in TBRA. The administration to run the TBRA program comes out of this section of money, of which there's not very much. So that's always a problem. Okay. That was a what?
Both of those were revised from Cindy, the rental subsidy and the security deposit.
Under administration planning? How many highs for rental security, the administration of a TBRA program? High. You counting? Wake up, Jean. 7. And I'm lumping these together. Mediums? 1.5. And low? You got 1 low? Okay. All righty, we'll be coming to you with fundraising suggestions, I hope. That pretty much, I've beaten you enough. We have one more thing that we were going to do, which we're not going to do, which is to take all this and put it in a yearly chart to see where all these projects fall out. So we'll go ahead and do that ourselves based on what you've told me. I will be filling out this chart as best I can when I do it. Just to give you a quick outline of what happens next, the plan goes to City Council on January 2nd, and that begins a 30-day comment period during which you can give us more comments and react specifically to the actual draft plan at that point. After 30 days, it will go to the Administration and Finance Subcommittee of City Council, where you can again come and give testimony. That date hasn't been set yet. And then we will have a public hearing probably the first week or two of February, which will be at City Council itself at its regular Monday night meeting, and that will be your final shot to make your comments known. We respond to the comments that we receive in the plan. So that they're actually, you can email them to me, you can call me with them, you can mail them, whatever. The current consolidated plan is online, and as soon as this little baby's written, this one will be online as well for you to look at. So I thank you all for coming. I thank you all for hanging in to this really difficult, time-consuming task, but it helps me so much I cannot tell you. It's a great Christmas present, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, and I want your sheets back.